Hello, beautiful people. Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, grab yourself a coffee, an espresso, a matcha, a water, whatever it is that you want. And just a little heads up, I woke up this morning and knew this was the message that wanted to be shared. So it is still dark outside and I've only had one cup of coffee today. So God only knows where this will go, but I figured this is important enough. So if you don't know me, please say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're dialing in from. My name is Alnash and I have been a professional life coach for 20 years now, you guys. Wow. And what an incredible time it has been working with some of the most talented, ambitious, driven humans, and just supporting them in making their dreams come true, quite frankly. I don't know how else to put it. And these days I specialize specifically working with ambitious, high-achieving women who are ready to tap into a state of flow and ease and richness, such as they have not known before. And of course, if we do know each other, say hi as well, because I always like checking in with my friends, and it's always a great pleasure to have this conversation with you guys. So, where do I even start? I think it's been really interesting for me to delve into consciousness in the last few years. And I'm so grateful that I was given clarity and insight into the high achiever as an archetype, and then the ascended artist as the opposite archetype. So when you hear me talking about artists, I am not talking about people who are painting or on stage or singing or anything like that. We are referring to the art of life. You as the artist and the art. And one of the greatest differences for me has been how I experienced life as a high achiever and how I'm experiencing life as an artist. So as a high achiever, you are conditioned to be singularly focused, which, by the way, is a masculine trait. Now, as with all things, nothing is good or bad. It is the application of everything that creates a specific experience in our lives. And what I've come to understand is that when we are overtly applying one approach or one dynamic, we have a skewed experience of life, which comes from fear consciousness, as does the high achiever. The fear of not being enough, the fear of separation, the fear of having to prove ourselves, the fear of not being deserving. All of these things operate in the realm of fear consciousness. So even though there is a place and a space for singular focus in our life experience, when we are conditioned to be so singularly focused, and we praise that, by the way, what we find is that life becomes a bit of a blur. We're so focused on the one thing that our vision, peripheral vision, becomes completely skewed and blurry. And it's why we often find that we have this Groundhog Day experience of life, and why we always need another goal as a high achiever. Because if you've got nothing to focus on, you feel lost. You feel like, oh my God, I don't have purpose. I don't have focus. I don't have mission. I don't have anything to apply myself to. And in the nothingness, there is a sense of even greater loss. And the reason I'm saying even greater loss is because as a high achiever, you never have that sense of absolute fulfillment. It's part of the trade-off of being a high achiever. The artist, on the other hand, brings herself into the fullest immersion of the moment and all of the richness of the moment. So whereas the high achiever is singularly focused, and I always think about when I used to be on my bike, my head down, only looking at the road right in front of me with the intention of getting to the finish line. My determination to get to the finish line had me shut out everything that I would term distractions. Even though the distraction was the opportunity to see some of the most exquisite areas in South Africa, especially on the mountain bikes, because a lot of the time the mountain bike races would be held on private property, and so if you were not in the race, you would never have the opportunity to even see these places. So I missed out on all of that with the goal of getting to the finish line. The artist immerses herself in all her sensory depth into the moment. So right now, I'm not only focused on the message, I'm also focused on the cool air on my skin. We're in autumn, so the mornings are starting to feel rather crisp. I hear the sound of the birds. I see there are some butterflies already in my garden, and there's a stirring of the flowers. It's so beautiful, you guys. It's so beautiful. So I allow myself to have this exquisite experience, and it's one of the reasons why we had built my office, which is what I call Wonderland, within a secret garden. Because for me, all of this gets to be part of my experience now. And all of this brings depth and richness to the experience for me. And really at the end of the day, guys, all we have is our life experience, the experience we are having of this moment and the experience that we are having of life. So if as a high achiever, you are so singularly focused on the outcome, what you find is when you get to the finish line, you don't really have much of an experience other than the exertion in order for you to get to your goal, in order for you to achieve whatever it is that you set out to achieve. Now, I'm also going to say here that my work is all about the internal experience. So if you don't care about that, if you don't care what it feels like, if all that is important to you is what you are achieving outside of yourself, then my work won't resonate with you. And I get it. I operated like that for the longest time. I really thought the only thing that was important in my life was success. Success as an athlete, success as a businesswoman, success as a coach, success as a wife, success according to all of the things. But there came a point in my life where I started realizing that every time that I crossed the finish line, every time that I hit a goal, there was a moment of woohoo! And then I was just feeling flat again. I was just, well, what is the next thing then? I still didn't feel like this is incredible. Like I didn't realize what an incredible life journey I had been living. Nowadays, for me, I don't really care about what it looks like on the outside. Does it still look the same on the outside? For the most part, absolutely. I'm still successful in the world of social success. But my experience on the inside is the complete opposite. Quite frankly, it is so rich. It is so filled with gratitude. It is so immersed into everything that we get to have. And that really is what the artist brings to us. That is the difference with the artist. Now, the other big difference that I've come to experience for myself is that where the high achiever is all about the drive, it's all about the motivation. It's a little bit like a bull in a china shop, right? Because you know where you're going and you will do whatever it takes to get there. And sometimes whatever it takes leaves a little bit of damage around the outside areas. I remember there was a saying in Ironman that if you're an Ironman and you're still married, you didn't train enough. And we said it with tongue in cheek. And we also realized how many of our athletes were divorced. It was a price we were willing to pay, because you are willing to pay almost any price if your goal is big enough and you are driven enough for it. So there's very much this all-in, go-hung energy for the high achiever, and it's necessary. It is that adrenaline that we get from the journey that keeps us going as a high achiever. As an artist, there is a calmness, a peacefulness to the creative process. So instead of taking massive amounts of action and knowing that something will eventually take, as an artist, we become very discerning in our action, and everything is done with precision. So rather than massive amounts of action, we take very aligned and intentional action. The energy is completely different, because you don't need to be charging down the alley to get to the goal. You know it's already done. You know that your greatest work took place in the realm of the imagination, the 4D. That is where you sat with God, Source, the universe, and architectured the entire vision. Now you get to take the next action. And because you are certain of the outcome, there is no rush to the action. So you get to enjoy the action. You get to really take your time in the action, in full certainty of your success. It is just already done. So as the artist, we have this unrushed quality in life, which again allows us to be more present with what is in life. One of the reasons why the experience is so different, you guys, is because of the frequency on which we are operating. So if you are operating on the frequency of fear consciousness, which is where the archetype of the high achiever resides, you have a different view of the moment than when you are operating in empowerment consciousness, which is the realm of the artist. So everything exists simultaneously. Everything exists simultaneously. What you are observing is dependent on the frequency on which you are operating. So if you are operating on the frequency of scarcity, if you are operating on the frequency of challenge and strive and having to prove yourself, you simply don't see what is currently present the way that you do when you are on the frequency of abundance and more than enoughness and control in the artistic expression of self. And it's a choice that we get to make. This is all a choice. The only reason I'm sharing this with you guys is that I know that for most of us, especially us driven, ambitious ladies, we want to understand things. We don't just want to accept things. And I find discernment is a great thing, especially with all the information that is out there at the moment. And God only knows what is real anymore and what is not. We don't even know if it's a real person talking anymore. But in the discernment, in the understanding, we use the discernment to to choose to make our next choice. And I also want to say this. Please don't think that your choices of yesterday matter, because they really don't. They have created an outcome that is going to display in your 3D reality. But if you are going to be obsessively focused on the decisions that you made yesterday, you are just recreating that for yourself again and again and again. Understand that whatever choices we made, whatever behavior we displayed, will have consequences. Whether those consequences are delightful or a pain in the ass. The consequences need to be experienced. But you don't have to be focused on the consequences. You can focus on what it is that you desire to create and experience next, aligning your thoughts and your beliefs with that and acting on that focus and vision. And what you will find is that your reality will become more and more enhanced through what you are already creating next. So it's a choice of where you're going to focus. My choice at this stage is to actually focus on what it is that I'm creating next, rather than the choices that I made even yesterday. All comes down to experience. So I do have exciting news for you guys. 2 things, actually. My next book, The Artist State, is about to be launched. So if this is something that you are interested in reading, she will be available within the next week. DM me, The Artist State, and I will send you the link for that. This is a short book, you guys, so that you can actually finish and implement the bloody book. Because what I have found is when you write the long books, quite frankly, very few people even reach halfway. And this is where you get to start understanding the process as an artist, the creative process. I share in there the creation codes with you guys, the manifestation effect, the proving effect, all of these things. So that will be available within the next week. And then, so excited. In the next week, we are also opening the enrollment for the next cohort of Women Reimagined. This is a 12-week journey for ambitious women who are wanting, quite frankly, flow and ease and fun, and for life to start living their way. It is a 12-week embodiment journey of remembrance, reclamation, reimagination, and realization. And this is the culmination of 20 years of work and lived experience and continuous curiosity, and the greatest of all the greatest things of my work is within this course. So we are starting in the first week in May. Enrollment opens in April, the first week of April. I am going to say this as well. There is an orientation process available the moment you sign up, and the sooner you sign up, the longer you have for the orientation process to happen, and the more attention you give to the orientation, I'm just going to be upfront with you guys, the greater your experience will be of the course. I have seen this before. The women who really take their time in orientation, especially with the clearance part, they have a way easier time once the course starts than women who don't pay attention to it or don't do it at all. And then they come into the course and they're full, their cups are full, their houses are full, their emails are full, and it all detracts from the experience and what it is that you are able to receive. So if you are interested in Women Reimagined, then DM me Women Reimagined and let's have a conversation, and I will let you know as soon as we open for that. So I really hope that today has been of value to you guys. I would love to hear from you. What is it that you are taking away from this live conversation? Are you starting to see where you are maybe playing in the realms of the high achiever and how that is impacting your experience, and where you can start shifting into the artist? Or more importantly, you guys, what is the experience that you want to have? because that's really what matters at the end of the day. So let me know in the comments if you did receive anything from this. I ask that you share this with other women who are interested in this level of work, so that we can get more women to start living with greater discernment, more awareness, and a remembrance of who they are. Because after all, you are the artist and the art. So let's make your life a masterpiece. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.